Coming up next on Fandom TV is a brand new edition of the Fandom Focus. On today's show, Max Gilmore meets with Dr. Fegley to discuss some good news for the high school in a national survey, progress on the Early Learning Center, and a review of some recent events in the district. All of that and more starts right now.
Dr. Fegley, welcome back. It's great to have you on the show today.
Thanks so much, Max. Great to be back.
So let's start with some good news that we have about the high school in this survey done by the Washington Post. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. This past Monday, the Washington Post put out a list that they call the most rigorous high schools in America. Phoenixville did very, very well. Last year, they had been ranked number 7 in the state. This year, it's ranked as number 5 in the state. It's the highest school in Chester County, the highest ranked school in Chester County, according to the Washington Post. The way they do their metrics at the Washington Post is they look at the total number of students taking AP classes, the total number of AP classes taken, how many students pass the exam, and how many students are in the high school. And they come up with a metric and sit there and say, okay, so we on the average had a little over 3 tests per student at the senior level. So they find that to be a very high level, and they rated it very well.
Cool. Redistricting is a big item in the district right now. There were community meetings on this topic during April. So can you talk a bit about the idea behind redistricting and where does that stand?
Sure. So the redistricting, part of the reason that, really the sole reason it's happening, that's not even the part, the sole reason it's happening is our schools are overcrowded at the elementary level, and we're building a new building. So in order to accommodate all the student growth that we're seeing at the elementary level, the new building, which is right behind here at the high school, will have 2 sections. One will be a K-1 section, early learning section. The other will be a 2 to 5 section. The 2 to 5 section will be primarily bringing over the students who are currently in the East Pikeland School, but we'll also be adding some additional students from Barclay and from Schuylkill School to that school. Why do we need to do that? Barclay School right now is about 110 to 115% over capacity, and Schuylkill School is also about 110 to 115% over capacity. By bringing out the first graders into the Early Learning Center and then bringing out some students in the 2nd through 5th grade, we're able to balance off the school sizes and have everybody be at about an 80% capacity level, which is really where we want to be as we keep growing in the district. It was interesting. This morning, I even heard of someone came up to me and said, did you hear this piece of land's being sold? And it's going to be another 40, 50 houses coming in. So Phoenixville really is growing. A realtor told me it's a very hot spot, and that's part of the reason why there's so many houses coming in.
I know the district sends out regular updates regarding the Early Learning Center, which you talked about. But what is the latest as we produce the show near the end of April? Sure.
Well, the good news is we're still on time. And that on time means that we'll be ready to open or take occupancy of the building in May of 2016. So that's, I'm sorry, 2017. I'm moving it up a little bit too quick. 2017. So we'll be ready to take occupancy by then. We have just this week completed one of the wings for the steel erection on the site, and we'll be starting the other K-1 wing next week, and that will keep us on track. The road work, as you probably know, if your bus comes down that way, has been rerouted, and we're in the middle of doing a lot of the road work. That is still on schedule and moving forward as we had anticipated it would move forward. So overall, the project is on schedule, and that's the really good news.
I wanted to get your impression on some recent events that have happened in the district. Sure. Let's start with the annual art show display that took place in the high school. Yeah.
For the last 2 years, it's been over at Barnstorm, and this year they moved it here to the high school. And wow, was it amazing as I walked through. The mural in front of Dr. Parkinson's office, wow, what an amazing mural that the 2 young ladies did and created there for the district. And then as we went around the entire art show, from the elementary students to the middle school students to the high school students' artwork, it was goosebumps as I was walking through. I commented to a number of people, there was some clay work that and firing that had been done by some of the Barclay students that was on display, and I looked at it and said, I couldn't even get, I don't even have that skill to get there. I made like beautiful mugs and different things, but boy, could they really produce it. And that was what you saw throughout. And I really liked that they brought in the various vocal groups to sing at the art show as well. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful addition.
Speaking about recent events, did you have a chance to see the high school play?
Les Mis?
Les Mis.
Yes, yeah. I got there a little bit late on the one night because I had actually one of the redistricting meetings I had gone to. But when I got there, what a show. It, you know, you say I'm used goosebumps now twice in the last 5 minutes, but boy, it was just absolutely incredible. The performance, the singing, just the choreography that took place for that show was absolutely incredible. I actually had one of the community leaders email me the very next morning. He had been to the first show like I was, and he goes, "That was quality for the Walnut Street Theater." He goes, "I've never seen something so good in all my years as a high school production." So hats off to all the students and the directors for, you know, just an amazing show.
We recently had a college signing day, which is when all the college-bound athletes, they gather for their signing ceremony.
Yes.
That was a first-time event. Can you talk a bit about that?
Mr. Junta, in the past, they've actually come here to the TV studio, and one at a time over multiple days, they've done some of the signing. Mr. Junta decided this year to do it all in one, as one big signing day, and what a great event. The 12 athletes were up there signing. If I remember correctly, they had athletes sign in football, track, basketball, girls lacrosse, boys soccer. So we had a multitude of students sign, and students going to Johns Hopkins, to Bloomsburg, to Kutztown, lots of great universities that our students are going to for after they graduate. But it was a wonderful signing day. Great to see all the parents there. Great to see the athletes there.
Moving away from those kinds of events, we're going to return to some business-related items.
Sure.
Where do things stand with the hiring of an assistant superintendent?
Great question. The assistant superintendent hiring process is now through the first 2 phases of the process. So that means we've had a lot of folks go through 2 separate interviews, and now there's some recommendations that have been made to the 3rd level, and at the 3rd level it will be myself, Mr. Johnson, and some board members will be conducting the interview. I expect that probably within the next 2 weeks we'll be announcing the next assistant superintendent for Phoenixville.
And as always, budget meetings continue in this district.
They do.
Are we on track for passage of a budget for the 2016-17 school year?
Phoenixville is on track for having a budget for the 16-17 school year. Hopefully the state is also on track for having a budget for the 16-17 year. But yes, we are. We had our last budget meeting prior to voting on May 26th this past week. At that meeting, I got to give Mr. Garris and Mr. Johnson and the board members a lot of credit. They worked hard. Right now, as it stands, the tax increase is going to be advertised as a 1.52% tax increase. That's very low. You know, the overall, we could have gone up to 2.4%. So once again, coming in a very low number. And believe it or not, Max, between now and when we vote on May 26th, I anticipate seeing that number come down a little bit more. We just had a bond sale take place yesterday, and that was for bonds for the new building. Very pleased that actually came in under budget by almost $900,000. So we will be putting that savings, now that's $900,000 over the life of the bond, but we'll be putting $100,000 of that savings into this year's upcoming budget. So that will actually reduce the taxes even further.
And we started our show talking about the high school, so we're going to finish there as well.
Okay.
In addition to that recent survey we talked about from the Washington Post,
Right.
What have some other highlights of this school year been for you personally?
Sure. Well, not only has the Washington Post come out, but we're getting other surveys that are showing that our college-bound students are among the most prepared in Chester County, and that's by the metrics that have been put out there. So that's very exciting. You know, the Senior Day of Service that took place earlier this year was really a great thing to watch. The United States PT team, you know, and how well they did. But we also had other teams. We had the Model UN, we had the FBLA, we had mock trial, and we had the Annenberg science team. All teams just doing amazing, amazing work. And then other programs that started this year, such as the Strings program started this year at the high school, and the Air Force Junior ROTC program, some other great things. And then I guess finally, right now down in Memphis, if I remember correctly, we have Vocal Fusion singing in a national competition. I doubt that this will air in time, but anyone here in the studio, if you use your Periscope app and you look for Amy Darby, Mrs. Darby, you'll actually be able to see Vocal Fusion sing live tonight at 9:15.
Cool.
So, such great things from in the academics and the athletics and the arts that are happening here at Phoenixville High School. It's just a great place.
Dr. Fegley, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Max. Great talking to you.
Pleasure to have you.
Have a good one.